Welcome, everybody. Thank you all so much for giving us the opportunity to chat with y'all today. So this is Ask Microsoft Anything, CNAPP Demystified. I'm here with one of my really good friends and colleagues, Lara Goldstein. I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself.
Yeah, thanks, Drew. My name is Lara Goldstein. I am a product manager for the Microsoft Defender for Cloud team. Super passionate about CNAPP and everything that has to do with it. So excited to be here today with Drew to talk to you all.
And I'm Drew Nicholas. I'm one of the security global black belts. I focus on CNAPP. I've been at Microsoft about 9 years now. Started as part of MCS, Microsoft's consulting services, helping organizations move to Azure with security and governance in mind. It's been a few years as part of it's called DART, or our detection and response team, helping customers recover from, we'll call them, significant emotional events, typically done by things like cloud misconfigurations, identity compromises. So when our customers have a bad day in the cloud, we're the team to come in, figure out how the adversaries got in, and figure out how to get the customers back up and running. And been in this GBB role, focused on CNAPP for about 3-4 years now. Super happy to chat with anybody who loves like cloud native application protection platform. And for those that don't know it, I see the first question from Heather, but just want to kind of level set here. Microsoft has been in the cloud security space since about 2015, 2016. We are the only cloud provider that also has multi-cloud security capabilities. And for us, we take a very Gartner CNAPP approach. So I'm going to hit with the first question, Lara. So I would love your insights. Like, what is CNAPP? How does it relate to CSPM to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So cloud native application protection platforms are what we call CNAPP, in case you haven't heard that acronym before. And in my eyes, in the eyes of various different analysts and customers and other vendors even, cloud native application protection platforms are meant to be the one-stop solution for everything you need when it comes to cloud security. It's meant to combine DevOps security, cloud security posture management, cloud workload protection, cloud infrastructure entitlement management, network security, and more. So cloud security posture management is a foundational component of CNAPP solutions, but it's not the end of CNAPP solutions. When you think of cloud security posture management, you may think of it as just being basic configuration controls, or you may think of it with context. And I think CNAPP really takes the context to the next level. We know today that not every virtual machine is equal. If you're going through Log4j again, you know that you need to prioritize, and you know that you may have one virtual machine that has vulnerabilities, another virtual machine with the same vulnerabilities, but they're not the same. One may have internet exposure. They may have permissions to other resources within your environment that maybe contain sensitive data or have other lateral movement possibilities. So being able to prioritize using all that context and bringing in the signals from all the other plans, that's what CNAPPs are to me. But I would love to hear what you think as well.
I think you are 100% right? Like, cloud security posture management is such an incredible thing, but if you look at like most vulnerability studies out there, unfortunately, most organizations are only remediating like 10% of their vulnerabilities. Our teams are overworked. Security, we know that there's a shortage out there. And so it's how do we prioritize our remediation strategy, taking as much telemetry into context, right? And so like how you called out contextual CSPM, Log4j, every organization that I speak to, I ask the same question. I'm like, if today was 2 years ago, Log4j hit, walk me through like where you're running instances, where's your source code that's pushing it? And unfortunately, it's hard. And our teams are so short-staffed right now, and it's just the nature of being in cybersecurity. But I love how you called out cloud security posture management.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I've been in plenty of customer demos with you where I've heard you start with that exact same line. Like if you were experiencing log4j right now, how would you react? And I think that's something great that we have an answer to with Defender for Cloud now. When the curl vulnerability was released, before we knew too many details about it, our customers wanted to prepare. And now we had that story to tell them that you can use Defender for Cloud to prepare. So you can say, show me all of my container images that have this vulnerability, and they're also running on pods that are internet exposed. And you can even see where those container images were built from. So what source code repository pushed those container images, get right to the source and remediate them as soon as possible.
So we've kind of got, I'm going to add together two questions. It's asking, do we need both CNAPP and CSPM in KIM and cloud workload protection, or are they part of a continuum? So I guess my question, Lara, would be, have you seen customers use these, maybe one or the other? Let's say a customer is using kind of a KIM and a cloud workload protection and missing the cloud security posture management, or to really have a full CNAPP solution, do you need all of the pieces?
You need all of the pieces to have a full CNAPP solution. You can always have point solutions. You can have a solution for CSPM. You can have a different solution for cloud workload protection. By the way, CSPM is Cloud Security Posture Management. But I think when you do have that, you're going to miss a lot of valuable signals that can be shared. So if I have a virtual machine or a storage account that was breached, I would want to know all of the posture management data that goes along with it as well. I also might want to know who has access to that. What are the risks of that user that has access to it, or the application that has access to it, which is why I think having that end-to-end solution with all of the components is so much more valuable than just having a single point solution. And thankfully, that's something Defender for Cloud has been doing very well, with a ton of different integrations into other Microsoft security products like Entra Permissions Management, Defender External Attack Surface Management, Defender Threat Intelligence, and of course, all of the Defender for Cloud plans.
So I 100% echo what you said. Is like, it's very similar like to the XDR story. I was telling customers for a long time when I was on incident response team, you might have multiple alerts that have low fidelities, but it's not until you get the context of each of the individual low fidelity alerts together that you realize you're having a really bad day. Very similar from a CSPM or a KIM perspective, right? If I have an account that's over permissioned and it gets popped, then it has access to a virtual machine. Well, if it moves that virtual machine, if that virtual machine has a managed identity on a storage account that has sensitive data, I need all of these pieces to really get the context of what's going on. So thank you so much, Lara. The next question, I love this one. Is CNAPP something I can use to scan for and quickly address misconfigurations? How does that work exactly?
Yeah, 100%. That is one of the many goals of the CNAPP solution. So within Defender for Cloud, which we consider to be a CNAPP solution, we have posture management capabilities. So you're going to connect your cloud accounts. We're going to look for misconfigurations in the way that your resources are configured. Make sure that they align with best practices, whether those are from regulatory compliance standards like CIS or HIPAA. We will be monitoring your configurations against those. We're also going to be doing vulnerability scanning with agentless approaches, so we can see any sort of vulnerabilities within your virtual machines or container images without having to deploy any sort of agents on the running workloads that would impact performance. And then using that, we're going to correlate those signals with each other, so we can say, you have this virtual machine that doesn't have network security groups, so that's just basic misconfiguration management that we're calling out. And it has remote code execution vulnerabilities. And it also has secrets that we discovered through an agentless approach. Those secrets have a database connection string that can access a database with sensitive information. So it's looking at the misconfigurations, but then taking it to the next level.
100% agree, right? Like, so you highlighted the agentless, which is one of my favorite tools, right? Because we have even in the persistent world, it's hard for us to put agents on and ensure agents are on every single device. But that just gets extrapolated in an ephemeral world. Like things are coming up for an hour, down for an hour, and I don't know where they live and what they know, what's there. But if they have managed identities or if they have secrets on the device and they get popped, I can move somewhere else with them. So this idea of agentless, and to the question, like how do we ensure that we're addressing misconfigurations quickly? I would say that this CSPM tool, especially something like an agentless, and that context of things like external attack surface management. So we're scanning if you are, and we're seeing like, oh, you're publicly exposed. We're doing all of this without having to alter your servers or alter your instances. And what this allows you to do is have to remove a lot of the internal politics of it, right? Because anytime we put the agents on devices, there's change management processes, there's all of these steps that we have to do. With this, you just turn the button on, you got the telemetry, and now you're really creating your remediation style strategy based on all of that context that we've been talking about.
Yeah. What you said, actually, it brings up a great point. You're talking about you have all of these short-lived workloads within the cloud. And I think that's something a lot of our customers struggle with, and it goes into addressing misconfigurations. Our customers, they want to address misconfigurations as early as possible, and that's another part of the CNAPP. Having that shift left security, that buzzword, being able to plug in to scan your infrastructure as code, address the misconfigurations before they even reach runtime, that's another really critical aspect of it that Defender for Cloud is also going to have coverage for. So I think you kind of alluded to that, but just wanted to call that out specifically. I'm very biased with Defender for Cloud DevOps security offerings, so you'll probably hear me talk about them a ton.
And I'm actually going to add one more. I love all of our pieces, but there's one other piece that we haven't really talked about is the new API security capability.
Oh, yeah.
Right? 83% of traffic is API based now. Things like authentication, BOLA attacks, these are literally just considered misconfigurations, but they're having a lot of our organizations have significant emotional events because of these little misconfigurations. One, because not every organization has the visibility into all of their APIs that they're running. And then looking at it from your APIs and how like the authentication authorization is working, and more importantly, what data that API is being connected to. This is another part of quickly addressing misconfigurations because you're prioritizing it based on sensitive data, production, external facing, all of these capabilities. So Lara, I think the next question, I'll let you take this on. How does CNAPP work with Security Copilot?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you are part of the Security Copilot Early Access Program, then you do have access to Copilot within Defender for Cloud. And right now we're targeting a couple of different use cases with Copilot and Defender for Cloud. One of those is helping you understand the misconfigurations that we're detecting. So let's say you have a storage account that doesn't enforce secure transfer. Then Copilot can help you understand what the risk is, and it can generate remediations for you in a variety of different scripting languages. So if you want to remediate it in Terraform, you have that option. If you want to run a command line within Azure Cloud Shell, you can do that as well. It's also going to try to see like who has contributed to the resource. So if you don't have permissions to make those changes, then Copilot can help you with that and just give you more information that you need to know so you can quickly remediate it. And then there are going to be other scenarios for alerts. So what does the alert mean? What's the scope of the breach? Who can help me fix this? What should I do to remediate this threat? So there will be a lot of different aspects that go into Copilot and Defender for Cloud. It will be an embedded experience, meaning that you'll be able to use Copilot directly from the Defender for Cloud console.
That is so awesome to hear. I think most organizations are ecstatic about Security Copilot, just that natural language integration. The next question was around Purview. And so you guys kind of understand what we're doing. And I think it's just by far the best that there is we're bringing that same Purview engine into what we call data aware security posture management. So Larry and I were talking about Defender CSPM has that sensitive data scanning. We talked about the API piece. It's all underneath the hood using the Purview engine. So you're getting out of the box about 250 default classifications. But if you're using custom labels in your environment, so you're actually using Purview, you get all of those custom labels as well. Now it's a little bit modified, but it is the underlying same engine. And what this will allow you to do is whether it's storage accounts, databases, or like we talked about the API integration and scanning for the repository, you'll be able to have those same labels across, your M365, but also seeing it like those custom labels on storage accounts and databases and what that is.
Yeah. So the API piece does integrate with Purview. So Defender for APIs uses Purview classifications and labels to show you where you have any sort of exposed sensitive data. If you're transmitting social security numbers or credit card numbers, and you have a label set up to automatically label information that contains that information, Defender for APIs will show you the data that is transferred, how it correlates to those labels that you have already defined and applied from Microsoft Purview Information Protection.
And on that, I love how it shows you where the sensitive data is. It also shows you, is there misconfigurations and the last time it was used? Is this a stale API that no one's used and accessing sensitive data? We can just kind of blow it away and get a new one. So it really does help holistically. So Microsoft's CNAPP solution work with containers and servers. What about AWS and GCP?
Yeah. All of the above. We have support for servers, both workload protection and vulnerability scanning, as well as just detecting misconfigurations on the control plane level. We have the same sort of capabilities for containers. So with Kubernetes services, we have runtime threat detections that we're giving you. We have admission control capabilities, so you can block deployments when they are misconfigured or vulnerable in some way or another. We have vulnerability scanning for your container images, and this is going to be across the board. So whether these servers are in AWS, Google Cloud, or even if they're on-prem, you can still have protection through Microsoft Defender for Cloud, which is our CNAPP solution. Same goes for GCP. I think I said that already, but we also have container image support and Kubernetes support for those as well.
Absolutely. And we think about kind of the servers. I kind of want to break this down in a couple of pieces here. I think from a server protection, regardless of where they're running, we're going to protect it. We're going to use that EDR capability that everybody that we know is kind of top right in Gartner's quadrant. We've also got TVM capabilities. Both we talked about the agentless, but one of the things that I do love about our server security is we actually get deeper into even like baseline assessments and looking at software inventory and looking at more capabilities in that TVM world. I love our TVM capability. And one of the neat things that we've also brought is we've brought that same vulnerability management engine from our servers, from our endpoints, and now to containers. So kind of talking similar, like we have talked about the Purview engine that we're scanning all of these and having the same, we're doing that same thing with vulnerability management, right? We want you to have a single vuln management solution so you don't have to look at 4 different providers or anything of that nature. You've got your containers, servers, and endpoints all being scanned the same. Michael, from the tech community, CNAPP gets into everything. It absolutely does. How do we configure its rights on our data and environment? So it sounds like he's really asking around like RBAC capability and how do we make sure that we're doing this the right way?
Yeah, I think this also plays into the fact that we're connecting to Amazon, we're connecting to Google, we're going to require different permissions to these clouds. We do have the ability when you create connectors from Defender for Cloud to multi-cloud environments, you can choose the least privileged model. So we're only going to get permissions to what we absolutely need for the plans that you select. The other part is everything is a la carte. So you can choose if you want endpoint protection for your servers. You can choose if you want it for your container environments. You can choose if you want storage protection, if you want us to do malware scanning. You don't have to turn everything on. You have the ability to configure what you want to use, when you want to use it, and you can modify the permissions for the multi-cloud accounts that you are connecting to.
One of the things that I think what we do really, really well is that we're leading with that Azure AD aspect. So it's all coming from Azure AD for your Azure estate. Larry kind of mentioned like how you type in your project ID with AWS. It gives you the CloudFormation template. You go run it. That's how you get the privileges there. But from an Azure RBAC perspective, we really are using that whole security reader, security admin, contributor, and kind of the owner. And we're given each of the rights, whether you just want to like view alerts and recommendations, you can create that. If you want, like, for example, someone that can edit security policies, this gives you kind of the security admin role. And so it's really about giving you that least privilege and least amount of access, because that's something as Microsoft Zero Trust we are adamant about, is making sure that we can also do this based on privilege or groups. So I can assign a user to a group, and if you're using Azure AD's Privilege Identity Manager, we can do things where they can only have those rights from, let's say, like 2 hours. It automatically drops them out of that privilege role. And so we're also, not only are we using least privilege, but we're also doing that just-in-time access.
Great.
So with exporting attack paths for further analysis, what do you think?
You can export them to CSV. They're in Azure Resource Graph, so you can export the attack paths directly from Azure Resource Graph, have it plug into any other tool sets that you may want to use. So you can always export them. You can always get the data out of the Defender for Cloud portal for further analysis.
The next question is around agent versus agentless cloud protection. And there's a lot of concern from both sides, right? So one is anytime we have to put agents on devices, it means that there's potential impact. They need updates, but they do give you more visibility because you're actually getting it from the inside. You're getting near real time. You're visualizing it as close to real time as possible. On the flip side, you've got agentless, which is very phenomenal. It runs once a day. It gives you that telemetry. It has no impact on the servers. This is another part. In the cloud world, ideally, you're running as minimal as possible. You're not putting up a server that's only using 5% CPU because that's a waste of money. So I want to make it as small as possible. Same thing with my AKS instances. I don't want to even have any room that, let's say an adversary could put a malware on the device or on the instance, because it's so small that there's no room left to run. So it's really looking at it from an agentless approach. Are you running very ephemerals? Are these servers persistent or not? Or can I put agents on the devices? What am I trying to discover on the devices? How frequently do I need to have this? Larry, what other things did I miss?
No, I think you're completely right. I don't think it's agent versus agentless anymore. I think you have to live in the world where you're using both. You get the best of both worlds. You have the real-time capabilities from the agent, and you also have the benefits for agentless for those ephemeral servers. And you have full 100% coverage across your cloud environment with agentless, but you can go deeper with the agents. So I think you always need both. I don't think it should be either or. All right.
How big of a priority? Why should organizations be concerned about implementing CNAPP, and how big of a priority should it be?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. So I'll go quickly. I think it's a huge priority. Having the correlation of all of your data in a single pane of glass is huge. It makes your life a lot easier. Having integrations with Copilot and everything that's coming with AI, it's going to be transformational. And if you want to save time, focus on what matters most, a CNAPP solution is a great first step that you can use to get there. So I would put it on my top priority list right now if I were running a company's security division for cloud.
100% agree. As a former Dart team member and a cloud consultant, cloud security in general is it's a hot topic because adversaries are taking advantage of it. They know things are getting stood up very quickly and they're exploiting vulnerabilities. They're exploiting misconfigured infrastructure as code templates that are just putting storage accounts up there publicly exposed or APIs exposed. But the concern about implementing CNAPP, I think this does go very deep into each company's beliefs. Like, so if you look at NIST cybersecurity framework, right, you have the identify, protect, detect, and respond. Cloud workload protection, or the CWPP, really fits into that detect and respond. Did an attack happen? Do I need to take automated responses? Absolutely, detect and respond are massively important for organizations. You have to have EDRs. You have to have the alerts being to your SIM. But having that identify and protect, what is in my cloud environment? Where is my inventory? That protect is really around like the posture management. How can I prioritize my remediation strategy? I'm a big advocate of you can't protect anything unless you know what it is. And then if you can protect and do that protection stage very, very well, you're reducing the alerts that go into your detect stage. So you're reducing the amount of false positives and those lo-fis that could be detrimental to your organization. And so you're allowing your SOC team to really focus on kind of the nation states and the advanced persistent threats. So I believe the identify and protect, and so in this case, it's the DevSecOps and the CSPM and the KIM. That's what I prioritize, and then cloud workload protection. But thank y'all so much. I do want to plug 2 blogs that we have. Vlad and team did an incredible boost documentation, and it's you can go to it by going to aka.ms/new-in-CNAPP. And then we've also got our Safina and Yuri, team members of ours, their video that they did at Ignite called aka.ms/CNAPP Next Wave. Can't thank y'all enough. Lara, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Drew. This was great.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.